Sailing boat. A sailboat, or sailing boat, is a boat propelled partly or entirely by sails and is smaller than a sailing ship. Distinctions in what constitutes a sailing boat and ship vary by region and maritime culture. The ideal sailboat size to sail around the world is between 35 and 45 feet long. This length will ensure a high enough maximum hull speed, good handling in high waves, and enough cargo capacity to carry multiple weeks of food and water. Longer boats will perform as well,
but are more expensive too.
The question is how big the sailboat to be sail around the world. The best sailboat size to sail around the world is 35 to 45 feet. Smaller boats of 25 feet will be more uncomfortable and inconvenient. It is, however, possible. Larger sailboats of 60 foot and up will be more comfortable, but they are more expensive as well. The most important factors in sailing around the world are comfort, speed, cargo capacity and supplies. Longer boats are faster and can carry more cargo, which you will need for circumnavigation. Especially water can take up a lot of space and weight. Smaller boats will have less cargo capacity. Smaller boats are slower as well, which increases the need for cargo capacity since you'll need more water and food. Boats over 45 feet long will get disproportionately expensive. However, there are a lot of boats available between 35 and 45 feet for very reasonable prices. Thus, boat size matter. The first thing you're probably thinking about is whether your boat of choice can handle the weather, the waves, and the long journey. But contrary to what you might have been led to believe, size is less relevant than you probably think. Not that it doesn't matter in the overall picture, it does, but for very different reasons. You see, a 20-foot flicka is just as capable of crossing oceans as is any seaworthy 60-footer. It is more tricky to handle, especially in harsh conditions, but the boat's size doesn't necessarily impact its blue water abilities. As long as you stay within a reasonable range and keep away from some pung-foot dinghies, of course. Though the smallest boat to ever cross the Atlantic had just a bit over 5 feet. Small boat circumnavigations. Now that we've established that small boats can too be seaworthy, let's see the drawbacks. Such a vessel will take you from point A to point B successfully, but you might face issues when it comes to its speed. There is a thing called hull speed, something too complicated for my simple mind to understand beyond this simple statement. Because of physics, the longer the boat, the faster it can go. So a 1,000-mile crossing with a 20-footer will be significantly slower than with a 50-footer, even with the same weather conditions. If you are in a hurry, take this into account. Longer journey means more supplies. Also, take it into account when planning the logistics. If your passage takes more time, you will need more supplies, for which you need more space, and on a small boat, that spells possible storage space issues. Dried meat and oatmeal isn't particularly bulky, but water volume is non-negotiable. And you need at least a couple of liters per day. Even if comfort is not an issue for you and you don't mind spending a few months in a tiny warehouse full of provisions with not much room for yourself, supplies, paired with all the necessary equipment you need, become heavy, and a small sailboat can find itself being quite overwhelmed by the weight, becoming more difficult to maneuver. Which is the last thing you want when facing the Poseidon himself in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Just calculate the weight of water you will need for a 4-week crossing, something you may easily encounter when sailing around the world. Even if you minimize the freshwater use and have it for drinking only, hello salty shores, you will easily get to nearly 100 kilos, and that's just for one. This means more comfort since you can prepare yourself for many worst-case scenarios, be it equipment breaking down or a 2-week crossing turning into a 4-week one because of bad weather. They say long passages are not as much about sailing skills, rather about the ability to maintain your boat and good spirit. For that, spare parts and good company is needed. An over-prepared sailor is a happy sailor. Large boat circumnavigations. So what's wrong with doing the journey with a 50-footer? In short, as long as you can afford it, nothing. In fact, comfort-wise, space-wise, and speed-wise, this is the best option. You won't have issues when taking 10 friends on board for a ride along. You can store enough food to go around the whole world without stopping anywhere to resupply. You can have plenty of extra gear and spare parts without even. So what you should take away from this particular part is that if you want to go for it, as long as you stick with new models made for easy operating, not much in terms of handling stands in your way. And yes, it will provide you with all the comfort you think it will. In conclusion, all in all, when you look at boats that are used for heavy traveling including circumnavigations, you will see the 40-foot mark quite often. It wins in terms of practicality, affordability, and manageability. So if circling the world is what you want, you won't be making a mistake if you go for this size. Although if you feel like it, and have a stomach and skills for it, you can go small, very small. And if you can afford it, with today's technology, even a 70-footer can be the right choice. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something on my video.